This is my project titled Human Development in Everyday Life, applying theory to strengthen family routines, emotional regulation, and healthy habits. My name is Haley Skiver, wife to Josh, mom to Landon Isley, and Playful, our cat. Our life is crazy, busy, and fun, and we love every second. The first project is on supporting emotional regulation through structured morning routines. My husband and I have two kids. Landon is 7, Isley is 6. In terms of typical birth order stereotypes, mine fit the mold perfectly. Landon is my rule follower and always pretty laid back. Isley is my spunky, free spirited girl that has never met a rule she hasn't tried to bend. While I appreciate Isley's spirit, over the years following toddlerhood, I started to notice an atypical struggle in her ability to regulate her emotions. Big feelings have at times taken over our home. We have found ourselves frustrated with how to help her. Huge temper tantrums have become regular things, and while most of our friends' kids seem to be outgrowing their tantrum days, Isley was still going strong. It felt as though we were frozen in time and her emotions controlled her, and me, if I'm honest. I tried to analyze these moments and find a common time of day or event that led to them. While it was not always occurring at the same time of day, I did notice that most common occurrences happened during our morning routines. She does not enjoy being rushed or also does not like being told what to do. Both of these things are occurring in our daily morning routines. I have attempted so many strategies, charts, rewards, consequences to help her avoid meltdowns, but ultimately there has been little success. This summer, I decided that now was the time to figure out how to help her with her dysregulation. I thought if I could help her with these meltdowns during our morning routines, that might help her with big emotions at other times of day as well. If I was going to be successful in helping her this time, I knew I needed something tried and true. I wanted to appeal to her, but also to be research backed so that I could know that I was aligned with true and proven developmental milestones and not expecting her to behave in ways that are not appropriate for her developmental growth. Theoretical foundation. Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Piaget studied early development of children. His focus was cognitive development and how children's brains acquire knowledge based on their exploration of the world. Part of Piaget's theory of cognitive development was centered around the idea of egocentrism. Egocentrism in early childhood refers to the tendency of young children not being able to take on the perspective of others, and instead, the child thinks that everyone sees, thinks, and feels just the way they do. This theory helps us understand that children do not typically have cognitive ability to see another person's perspective. This helped me connect that Isley is not always in control of these meltdowns because all she can really see or understand at her age is her perspective of the situation. She's being told no, she doesn't understand why, and therefore a meltdown is going to occur. She cannot see the fact that it is cold outside and I'm asking her to wear a jacket. She doesn't understand that it is almost dinner time and she cannot have another snack. She is only really able to see her side or opinion of the situation. She likes her outfit without a jacket, or she is hungry now and doesn't want to wait 15 minutes. Rather than viewing this behavior as defiance, I recognized it as a developmentally appropriate thinking. The intervention was focused on meeting her where she was cognitively. Having a better understanding of brain development from Piaget, I knew that if I was going to help Isley conquer these meltdowns, I needed to get on her level. I needed to help her understand the context of what I ask her to do or why I tell her no for certain things. Because this was occurring most of the time during our morning routines, I decided to use this time of day for my trial period. Our morning routines are often such a struggle and a battle of wills as we try to get out of the house with everything we need and arrive to school and work on time. Knowing a bit more about children's brain development, I decided to make a very detailed schedule of events that we would need to help our mornings be successful. I tried to make each step of the schedule purposeful and specific. Anything that wasn't necessary to get out the door was prepped in the morning or in the night before to eliminate any chance of meltdowns coming from unnecessary tasks. Water bottles and lunches were prepped and put in the refrigerator. We picked out two outfit options and laid them out the night before so she could choose the next morning. The task on her schedule the tasks on her schedule were to get dressed, brush her teeth and her hair, pack her book bag, and get in the car. If she could do these four things without having a meltdown, then there was a small reward of her choosing. With her age, I gave her a checklist so that she could check the items off as she completed them. This gave her some age appropriate control over the task at hand. This felt like an important step because of Isley's opinions when it comes to being told what to do or being given a less than desirable response, such as the word no. I wanted her to feel ownership over her choices and also see that the expectations of what I was asking of her. She may not understand the why behind my answers at her age, but hopefully with practice, she will start to make connections. For implementation, I felt that it would be best to start with a friendly conversation about the checklist and how I wanted to help her control those big feelings and not feel as frustrated so easily. We went through the checklist and the steps that we would follow in the morning, along with the reward system. I expected that the beginning of this trial time would be easier because it was something new, but I knew true success would be determined when or if she could follow through with this system long term, and also when things would inevitably happen that would dysregulate her. Each night prior to bed, I ensured that everything was prepped for the morning, and we would reset her checklist. In the morning, first thing, I would remind her of the things she needed to complete her checklist. I allowed her to choose the order as long as each item was completed before we left the house. These tasks should not take her long, but because of our history with this, I have always given her about 30 to 45 minutes just to ensure that we were on time. When she completed the checklist, I made a huge deal out of it and allowed her to pick the reward of her choosing. On the days that we didn't quite make it or had a meltdown, I did not react, but I did say that we would try again tomorrow. While this implementation may seem super simple, the conversations were vital to this process because it gave her a clear understanding of what was expected. These simple steps are a big deal to a 6-year old that has struggled for so long. Overall, the impact of this trial was positive. Like I thought, initially Isley did jump at the chance to try something new, especially something that resulted in a reward. I tried really hard to stay consistent with the process. Ultimately, we had a day or two that had less than favorable results, but I stayed on course and she found her way to stay on task and complete her checklist each day. From just an emotional standpoint, Isley seemed so much more easygoing after she got used to it. It was really great to see. She felt like she had a say or some control, and you could tell that she wasn't fighting for control anymore. My son even showed significant improvement in his frustrations with her. He would often get upset because she would make us late, and he is pretty type A and wanted everything to go according to plan. There seemed to be less of a struggle with him as well, and I honestly think it helped their relationship because he wasn't getting mad at her every morning. The effectiveness of this approach was great. Within the first 2 weeks, she received her reward, 8 out of 10 days. In the last 2 weeks, she made it 10 out of 10 days. I was so impressed with her ability to really follow through with the tasks that she was given and her ability to regulate her emotions when little inconveniences came up that would typically have caused a meltdown. I truly feel as though giving her a sense of age appropriate power in choosing the order of her checklist and letting her check things off really helped her in regards to the egocentrism that she had been displaying. Overall, a lot of this approach was successful. My only concern is that she will believe that she cannot have any meltdowns. I want her to understand that emotions and feelings are always allowed. I ultimately just want to help her find a balance and proportionate emotions for the given moment. The experience of creating this approach for Isley was very helpful. It was hugely beneficial for me to find the reason for why she has these big emotions and then how to help her navigate them in an age appropriate and reasonable way. Learning about Piaget's theory of cognitive development and egocentrism was truly the key to helping me understand Isley's needs at a deeper level, giving her the ability to make a few choices for herself, along with boundaries and expectations from me. We were able to work together to help her mornings become a more positive time, not just for her, but for our whole family. Moving forward, I would like to find more ways to help her connect her success with this time period and with other times of day as well: nighttime, getting ready for practices, other transitional times. I really feel as though we were successful with our mornings, and now we can connect it to these other times of day for her to find success in regulating her emotions long term. Once we realized we had helped Isley with something so helpful for her, I wondered what other areas might be lacking in our lives. I wanted to look at myself and my actions, and I found an area that I have really wanted to work on for a long time. The next part of my project is titled Reducing Family Reliance on Restaurants and Takeout. According to many developmental theorists, I am in the middle adult phase of life. I just recently turned 40. I am married, own a home, have two kids, and a career. Physically, cognitively, and physiosocially, I am at the early stages of this mid adult phase of my life. At the point I am in motherhood, my marriage, and my career, I identify somewhere between Erickson's intimacy versus isolation and generativity versus stagnation theories. We live in a tight knit community with lots of children around the age of our kids, so very much strive for long for connection with like minded adults. I also feel established enough in my career and life as a whole that I find myself wanting to help the next generation of teachers, newlyweds, or moms. My kids are not babies anymore, and as newer generations of kids come to our community, my friends and I often find ourselves in conversations that help us lead newer moms in our community through some of the more challenging circumstances they may be facing. As with any busy household, we find ourselves eating out more than we care to admit. We are constantly on the run with all of our kids' extracurriculars and overall busyness of our regular schedules. If work runs late for my husband or I, then we grab something from a drive through or a fast casual on the way home. A child has practice or a game that conflicts with dinner time, we grab dinner on the way home or on the way there. We probably eat out 4 to 5 times a week, and we both admit that this has gotten out of hand. We not only want to prioritize healthier eating habits, but also time together around the dinner table whenever possible. I believe that the underlying cause of this issue is a mix between the behaviorist theory or the social learning theory. The behaviorism theory analyzes a learned behavior that has become a habit because it makes life easier. The social learning theory analyzes how behavior is learned from watching others. In this case, we often eat out with friends, or our social circle has created similar habits. So we have possibly learned this through the habit as well as being products of our environment. I had the thought that if the underlying issue was that my life had been made simpler by eating out, and if I had created this habit out of a learned behavior, that I could retrain my brain to learn a new habit. Over the last few weeks, I made sure to set our family up for success. I planned our meals in advance. I made sure that we had the correct groceries to make the meals that we would be having each day. The first week, I set the goal to eat at least 5 dinners at home. That week was particularly busy, and I could have easily thrown in the towel on a night that my kids had a swim meet and we had to be there at 5:30. I decided that just planning meals and having the right ingredients wasn't going to be enough for me to succeed. My plan needed to be more intentional. I decided to look at my calendar for the week and decide what meals could be made more feasibly on each night. For example, when there is a sports practice or a game that needs us out of the house by 5:30, then that is a night an easier meal is made. Sometimes these evenings mean a frozen pizza and a salad as opposed to a more elaborate meal that takes a lot of time to make. Those meals were reserved for nights that were less busy. This self development project also coincidentally coincided with another family goal of ours, which was to have a screen free summer for our kids. This could have easily made me give up on cooking from the logistical standpoint of having to cook dinners and make sure that they were entertained or engaged with an activity. When my kids were super little, I would often have them sit on the counter and help me with dinner. It was a fun, sweet time, and they loved to help do little things like stir or pour ingredients in. I decided to bring back this approach while helping retrain myself to cook more at home. Each night, one of my kids would get to help me cook dinner. I thought they would be too old for it and the novelty would wear quickly, but ultimately it has been such a sweet time again, and they often have been asking if it is their turn to help me with dinner. With it being summer, I was careful with my planning, and when I had a meal planned for the that could be frozen, I started to make double the batch of that meal and freeze the other half for another time. This made nights that were a little busy, a little simpler to stick to the goal because I wasn't having to cook an elaborate meal, but I also wasn't running to a restaurant. At the beginning of this project, we were eating out or ordering takeout a minimum of 4 days a week, sometimes more. I decided that I wanted my focus to mostly be on dinners. But as I found myself focusing more on eating at home or cooking, an unintended side effect of my practice was that we ultimately ended up eating lunches and breakfasts at home as well. The result of this project was very positive. The first week or so was very tough, and we did fall short a couple times. During this week in particular, my husband was traveling, which was really daunting, and I wasn't very successful, but I still managed to eat out only 3 times that week. After that, I was able to get a better grasp on what the planning needed to look like in order to better execute the task at hand. Within the last week of this trial time period, we have not eaten out at all and have fully planned for busy nights with a meal that is easier to make. The only moments of eating out over the last 2 weeks have been for social gatherings. The true goals of this development were to eat out less, to be more fiscally responsible, and also a bit healthier. The overall goal was met, and I believe it will continue after the summer is over because we truly learned how to better plan for eating dinner at home, even on the busiest of nights. The secondary result of this development goal, was that we started having the capability of spending more time together. With the kids helping me in the kitchen, it allowed for more conversations and communication to happen. When we eat at home, we also sit at the table together and can have more conversations. When we were eating out, everyone just ate as they were able. And don't get me wrong, there are still nights we are eating on the run and not all together. But overall, the achievement of this goal has been much more positive than I ever even expected. Based on the results of this experiment, I believe that my family and I will continue to follow through with this plan. We truly feel as though it has benefited our whole family just to make simple changes in order to eat at home more regularly. Moving forward, I would like to be even more planned in terms of grocery orders and meal prepping for breakfast, lunches, and dinners. I would also like to be better about freezing meals for future use. I noticed that when I started freezing portions of my meal for later use, things got a bit easier as well. For one, it helped with the ease of preparation. But additionally, it gave us a healthier option on the evenings that we needed a faster meal rather than a frozen pizza or other boxed meal. I definitely think I will continue this practice. There have been the other part of this goal is that I wanted to focus on continuing this when the true busyness of the school year and fall sports set in. August and September are difficult for us logistically, so I will need to be sure to utilize all of the tools and strategies that I have learned through this project this summer. Our overall long term goal would be to create a sustainable family routine that supports healthy eating, is financially responsible, and provides us quality time as a family. The course content gives us so much insight into how behaviors that we utilize become developed over time. It was very interesting the role that socialization and environmental factors have on us in terms of how we create behaviors that become habits in our lives. Overall, this project has been very insightful in terms of areas of difficulty in my family and my home. and then how to fix those areas. The busyness level of my family is always going to be a challenge when it comes to fixing the difficulty of eating out less and less. I am not necessarily willing to give up the extracurriculars that my kids are involved in because I believe that those are important. Overall, I will mostly need to navigate the challenges of busyness along with the importance of being nutritional, financially responsible. I learned so much about myself and how to navigate the goals I set for myself throughout both of these projects. The key lessons are that habits can be replaced with intentional planning and consistency. Environmental influences shape daily behaviors. Small changes can create meaningful improvements in family life. The biggest takeaway from this project is that by applying behaviorism and social learning principles, our family developed healthier routines that strengthened both our relationships and our overall well-being. In closing, by combining the plans and strategies implemented in both of the approaches, our family can be healthier and more at peace than ever before, even with the busiest of schedules. Thank you.